Hey guys, I'm going to answer a question here. Can we develop the skill of solving interview questions and problems? Well, of course you can. Again, I assume at this point you know your fundamentals. You've done the fundamentals of coding, you've done a couple of projects, and you've done a couple of freebie projects. Could be simple websites, could be a simple shopping cart implementation, just something simple so you get your nerd fingers ready, wet, in code, real code, because doing tutorials is not the same thing as working with real client, having to do with real code. For every project that you do with a real client, even small projects, your value as a coder just jumps up quite a bit. For every tutorial that you do, your value jumps up like this much. Like this much versus this much. So again, one thing I stress, and again, it's based on my 250 years experience as a developer. One thing I stress is that you do your foundations, and then as quickly as possible, you jump into real world projects. Start with simple projects, do a couple of them free. People go to boot camps and will spend $10,000 at a boot camp because they're thinking, oh, I gotta get a stage where I'm gonna go do a project for free. I'm gonna go work in some company for free. Well, you don't need to spend $10,000 at a boot camp. You can just go do, like, I'm a shameless self-promoter. You do my studio web courses, you get through that, you can get through that in a month, maybe 2 months, depending on how quickly you work. Then you can find yourself some jobs, start doing a couple free jobs here and there. Again, with every free job, you get that much better. So let's get back to prepping for solving interview questions and problems. You have your foundations. You've done 1 or 2 basic projects for people, which you can put on your portfolio site. Very important, put on your portfolio site. Have a portfolio site so you can show your work, show that you can actually put something together. You know, employers, and I'm one, I hire people, I've been hiring people for years. I look for much more than just raw coding skills. I want to see somebody can take initiative. Somebody is curious, somebody can learn on their own, someone who can communicate. So you putting up a website to show and showcase your work, a website that looks half decent, has to look good, is a big thing, right? It's a big thing. So how do you prep for interview questions and problems? You have all the things I just discussed down. You have that done. You're ready to go. Now what you do, you go and look at the prospective employer that you want to apply for, and you find out what kind of questions, what kind of problems they are going to ask. Google is your friend. You can do searches there, maybe go to Reddit, et cetera, et cetera. Bigger companies, of course, are going to be easier to find this information, but what you could do, for example, let's say you're going to go work for a company that does a lot of Python, Django, basically Python web stack. You could probably search out and find out what the typical questions are, problem-solving questions you're going to have for that type of interview for any Python, Django houses meaning companies that do that kind of work. Same thing with Swift programming, iOS. Same thing with Python AI and machine learning program. You're probably going to be able to find, not probably, you will be able to find, Google it, typical interview questions for AI Python job. You'll find it. Then bone up on that for a week or 2 so you feel comfortable, and then you can go apply. Here's another thing you could do. Let's say, assume you got your base, as I said, you got your base, you got your foundations, you've done 1 or 2 freebie jobs to sort of build something, some skills, some real world skills. So when you go on, you can say, I've actually worked with some independent clients. Here we go. Here's my site. Look, I can do stuff. I'm not lazy. People are going to like that. Once you've done that, you figured out, let's say you're going to go for a Python machine learning job. You find out what it is that they're looking for in terms of machine learning, in terms of the interview questions and so forth. And you're probably going to have a few opportunities where you live or where you want to go in terms of interviews, right? In terms of companies you can interview for. Well, pick the ones you don't really want to work for and go interview with them first. Practice with them, right? It's like in dating. I tell you one thing. When you're dating and you want to go and meet girls and chat with girls, one of the things you do, this is weird, I know, but this is going to make a point. Instead of going after, for the first time when you're nervous, that girl that you think is beautiful and perfect and great personality, and this is one I really like. Instead of doing that, go after the girl that it doesn't intimidate you so much. Maybe her personality is not exactly what you like, so you practice with her. You go talk to her. You learn to converse with her. You know, it's like when I was learning how to fight, I didn't get in the ring with professional fighters on the first day. Actually, I got in the ring with a pretty tough guy on the first day. He gave me a good beating, I have to tell you. But generally speaking, when you first start fighting, you don't want to get in a ring with Conor McGregor or Mike Tyson or something. You know what I mean? You start light. So going back to the interviewing, yeah, you know, you want to get a machine learning job as an example, or you want to get a web stack job or whatever it is, iOS developing. What you do is first thing you do is you don't want to get a Ruby job. And then the second thing you got to consider is that you choose the place you don't really want to work at, but you can practice your skills, your interview skills, the questions and how you converse with people, how you deal with people. And when and if they say, well, you're not exactly good for the job, ask them, what did I mess up? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And you're going to find 95% of the time, they'll tell you, you did this wrong, you could have done this better, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. You learn from it, and you move on. There you go. There's the strategy I would suggest. You follow these tips. You follow these tips. It's in the books. It's almost guaranteed you're going to get a good job. In the books. Not a problem. And, yeah.